All right, everybody. This is the Bald Eagle Podcast. I am Shawn Cressman. I am the Bald Eagle. Thanks for watching. We have a ton to go over this show, so I'm going to try and make it quick. I'm going to talk fast, so hopefully you can keep along. We got a lot to do, though. We have a preseason game to talk about, so let's get right into it. So this is the Bald Eagle Podcast. I'm Shawn Cressman. I'm the Bald Eagle. This is a strictly Philadelphia Eagles podcast. We dabble in some NFC East people and other news that's worthy of talking about that it might affect the Eagles. But generally speaking, we're 100% Philadelphia Eagles. I got 3 rules, and I'm going to go over them quickly. Number 1, most importantly, no politics. We don't talk about politics. We don't discuss politics. We don't, very rarely will we ever even bring them up, other than if they impact the game. So far, really, they haven't. No personal information. Don't talk about my personal information. Don't talk about the players' personal information because I really don't care. I'm not sure that you do either. One of the things that annoys me with Fox Sports is that they always do a thing about players and how they grew up. And I don't care about any of that stuff. Unless it's tied to the game, you're not going to hear about it here because I don't care. And of course, I'm not censored. All right, let's go to Beer with the Birds, everybody's favorite segment, right? So I drink a beer from a Philadelphia area brewery. Today, I am drinking Victory Sour Monkey. So for everybody at Instagram, it looks like this, Victory Sour Monkey. That's what I'm going to be drinking today. Next week, I'm going to be drinking a Victory Prima Pils. So for everybody at Instagram, if you want to drink with me, I encourage you guys, if you're 21 or over, of course, to drink along with the show. It's fun to have a beer while we're talking football. But next week, I'll be drinking Victory's Prima Pils. So for today, though, we're doing the Sour Monkey. And just so you know what the Sour Monkey is, it is a sour triple or triple, not sure how that's pronounced. It is a tastefully tart, mystical flavors. The alcohol content's 9.5%. It's a Pilsner. The hops are Tettnang. And the notes are fruity notes from imported Belgian yeast swirl through a precise souring. Pucker up to a bite of citrus-laden tang, ending with a delectable experience. So every once in a while, I'm going to pick up my beer and have a drink and say, go Birds, so we can all have beer with the Birds. So go Birds. And it is very tart. That was a very accurate description. All right. So let's get to our countdown. We already had week 1 of preseason, so we're counting down to week 2. It's tomorrow night, 7:30. The Patriots come to town and play at the Link. And that is our one and only game that is live on the NFL Network nationally. So this is a nationally televised game. Now, one of the things that makes the Bald Eagle podcast unique, and you'll hear a little bit of it this episode, which makes it longer, is that I am the best place and the only place to get the most in-depth play-by-play analysis. And what I mean by that is that after every game, the next podcast, so Wednesdays, I recap every play of the previous game. Now, generally speaking, or normally, I would have in-depth analysis because I would watch the NFL Game Pass, and they have a coach's film, which includes an all 22. That's basically what it sounds like, all 22 people on the field. So I can see if receivers are running the right routes. I'm looking at where the quarterback looks at, the coverages. I can see all that stuff with the all 22. And then they have a view that's just the tackle box. So I can see in detail who's missing or making good tackles, if running backs are going to the right hole, et cetera, et cetera. These aren't things you can see if you're watching just the broadcast version, because they don't pan up to all 22 people. They don't do a real close look at the tackle box. They're focused primarily on the quarterback and then when he throws the ball to the receiver. So it's hard to see some things. And the reason I'm telling you this is because NFL Game Pass does not offer the coach's film for preseason. So I'm going to go through it like I normally would, but we're not going to be able to see some of the things that I would like to see anyway, especially in preseason with wide receivers, the kind of routes they're running. If Jalen Hurts missed open people, not something I'm going to be able to see in preseason because I don't have that view. As soon as that comes back, and again, according to the NFL Game Pass website, it should be soon, we'll be able to do a more in-depth analysis, but I'm still going to do it, just not quite as good as I would like. Okay, so tomorrow night against the Patriots at home, 7:30 p.m. NFL Network, or if you're in the Philadelphia area, you got to watch it on, I think it's channel NBC, I think it is. Next is our next public practice, August 22nd, 7 p.m. So this coming Sunday is the second public practice held at the Link. $10 goes to Eagles Autism Challenge, and tickets are still available last time I checked. Then we have Tuesday the 24th, after the second preseason week. teams have to cut from 85 to 80 players. And we did just recently cut from 90 to 85, and we let go of a few people. We'll talk about that in our roster moves. We have a joint practice August 24th and 25th with the Jets. We just came off of a joint practice with the Patriots. Preseason week 3, we play Friday, August 27th at 7:30 p.m. We play the Jets in the Meadowlands, or in New Jersey. And then Tuesday, August 31st, after all preseason games have been played, the third week of preseason is over. We have to cut from 80 to 53, which is nice because now we have a good 2-week space between preseason and regular season, and that's more time to heal, and it's more time to shop around for some of those guys that got cut that might be able to make our team. Okay, regular season. The regular season opener, Thursday, September 9th. Dallas at Tampa Bay on NBC. It's a prime time game. But the Eagles start week 1. Go Birds. The Eagles start week 1. Sunday, September 12th at 1 p.m. against the Falcons in Atlanta. Week 2, Sunday, September 19th, 1 p.m. against the 49ers at home. Week 3, we have first of 2 primetime games. Monday, September 27th, 8:15 p.m. It's a Monday Night Football game at the Cowgirls. Week 4, Sunday, October 3rd, 1 p.m. against the Chiefs at home. Week 5, Sunday, October 10th, 1 p.m. at Carolina. Week 6, Thursday, October 14th, 8:20 p.m. It's a Thursday night game at home against the Super Bowl winning Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Week 7, Sunday, October 24th, 4:05 p.m. at the Rams. I got to change that in here. Week 8, Sunday, October 31st, 1 p.m. at Detroit. Week 9, Sunday, November 7th, 4:05 p.m. against the Chargers at home. Week 10, Sunday, November 14th, 4:25 p.m. at Denver. Week 11, Sunday, November 21st, 1 p.m. against the Saints at home. Week 12, Sunday, November 28th at the Giants. Week 13, Sunday, December 5th, 1 p.m. at the Jets. Then we have a Week 14 bye, very nice late bye. Week 15 is still to be determined on the schedules. I'm not sure why, but it is scheduled for the weekend of December 18th to 19th with a to be determined time, and that is against the Washington football team, although they could possibly be renamed. That is at home against Washington. Week 16, Sunday, December 26th, 1 p.m. at home against the Giants. Week 17, Sunday, January 2nd, 1 p.m. at the Washington football team. And then we end the season, Week 18, Sunday, January 9th, 1 p.m. at home against the Cowgirls. I say this every time, but a reminder, 5 of the last 6 games are in the NFC East. So almost unless we have tanked and not won a single game, a very good chance that if we are dominant the last 5 or 6 games of the season, we can win the East and ensure ourselves a playoff spot. Wild cards weekend is Saturday and Sunday, January 15th and 16th. Divisional playoffs, January 22nd and 23rd. Championship games, Sunday, January 30th. And Super Bowl 56, Sunday, February 13th, 2022. At SoFi Stadium, Inglewood, California, home of the Rams and the Chargers. Okay, recap on the draft. And I'm only doing this to remind you of who we drafted, who we got undrafted. So when you hear these names in preseason, you remember, hey, that guy was a rookie. Or an undrafted free agent. So looking forward, 2022, we got 10 picks. Now that one is conditional with Wentz. We'll talk a little bit about that. But as of right now, we already have 2 first rounders. We have 2 second rounders. One can become a first. We have a third, a fourth, 2 fifths, a 6th, and a 7th. It is. Chris comments on here. Not a lot of late games. That is, I guess if you work early, right, that's a good thing. Thursday night, and Monday night games can be tough to watch all the way through if you get up, if you're construction, you work at 5 a.m. So, but it is nice Sunday games where you can relax and hopefully chill out. Just another recap of our draft picks that we got this year. 6 and 9 were captains, and the Eagles met with them at the Senior Bowl. DeVonta Smith, of course, we all know is 10th overall, our first round draft pick, wide receiver from Alabama. Round 2, number 37, Landon Dickerson, center from Alabama, still on the injured reserve. Round 3, number 73, you probably heard his name this past week, last Thursday at the preseason game, Milton Williams, defensive tackle, Louisiana Tech. Round 4, number 123 overall, corner Zech McPherson from Texas Tech. Round 5, number 150, Kenneth Gainwell, running back from Memphis. Round 6, 189, Marlon Tuipulatu, defensive tackle, USC. Round 6, 191, Teron Jackson, defensive end, Coastal Carolina. Round 6, 224, Jacoby Stevens, linebacker, safety, LSU. And last but not least, round 7, 234, Patrick Johnson, outside linebacker from Tulane. So a lot of those names you probably recognize because a lot of them got playing time, and some of them even performed well in our preseason game against the Steelers. We had a handful of undrafted free agents. Jamon Austin, a wide receiver from Texas A&M, was one of them, but I don't believe he had any meaningful production in the game. Jack Stoll's another tight end from Nebraska. Didn't hear his name. Jaquan Bailey, defensive end from Iowa State, had a solid game. Of course, he was playing with third stringers. Solid game, though. Coyote Iwasika had a couple of errors, offensive tackle from Buffalo, and Harry Kreider, center from Indiana. All right, this is the part that we all love. We're going to get to our play-by-play analysis of the game against the Steelers. Go Birds. Now, if you watch the game, some of this stuff you might have seen and just be a refresher. And I'll skip over the parts that, if I only talk about a play and I just tell you what happened, most likely there wasn't anything meaningful that I wanted to talk about. And again, only so much analysis I can do without those views. So we start the game with the ball. They kicked to us. We elected to receive. We start on our own 27, 1st and 10. Jalen Hurts starts. We got the first string guys in there. He's under center. He drops back. Protection was pretty good all day, and it was the same on this play. Of course, over time, pockets collapse. He scrambles, watches is able to climb the pocket, finds a wide open Zach Ertz for 7 yards. So good opening play. 2nd and 3 on our 34. He's in the gun this time. He drops back. Initially, he has good protection, but their right offensive linebacker, Highsmith, is able to get around Opeta, starts to put some pressure on Hurts. He stands in the pocket, doesn't move. There was a perfect pass to Goddard, who has one step on the linebacker Bush, able to run for 21 yards after the catch for a total of a 34-yard pass and gives us a 1st and 10 on Pittsburgh 32. Excellent. Hurts stood there while there was pressure in his face, threw a great pass, and Goddard caught it and made some moves for some yards after the catch. So that brings it to 1st and 10 on Pittsburgh's 32. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back. Pittsburgh bring 5. By the way, we did not blitz on defense a single time this game. Pittsburgh did blitz often, and we did a pretty decent job of picking it up. And this is one of those cases. Pittsburgh brought 5 defenders to rush. We picked it up. Hurts throws a ball slightly low to Jalen Reagor, who dropped it. Good protection, good pass. Not a great pass, but it was a catchable. But Jalen Reagor dropped it. That was a part of a disappointing, I thought, game for him and a disappointing so far training camp. So on 2nd and 10 at Pittsburgh's 32, we run Jordan Howard left end for 3 yards. Brings up a 3rd and 7 on Pittsburgh's 29. Hurts is in the gun again. He drops back. Steelers bring 6 this time. Jordan Howard does a great job picking up a linebacker. Offensive line does a great job with protection. Hurts has plenty of time, finds Ertz wide open at the 19. Would have been a 1st down. Ball is thrown perfectly, hits him in his hands, but Ertz drops it. So this again, Hurts played very well, but Ertz unfortunately drops the pass. That brings up a 4th and 7. So we kick a field goal. We go up 3-0. That was a 6-play, 44-yard drive. Took 2 minutes and 29 seconds. We kick off. Steelers get the ball at their own 27, 1st and 10. They run on the left end for 4 yards. Good blocking by Pittsburgh. Singleton does a great job closing the hole and making this tackle. So early on, the starters that you would expect to do well, like Singleton, did well. 2nd and 6, Pittsburgh has the ball on their own 31. Rudolph throws a short pass over the middle to J. Smith-Schuster. For 13 yards. We didn't rush at all, or we didn't blitz at all this game. And this is a situation where we brought 4, couldn't get any pressure. The pass is high, but it's catchable, and Smith-Schuster goes up and gets it. He was covered by Slay. Coverage wasn't horrible. It was just a well-placed pass. Najee Harris then on 1st and 10 with Pittsburgh on their own 44. They run Najee Harris right tackle for 6 yards. We bring 4 again. Barnett's able to shed his block, and Wilson does a great job running through the hole. They both hit Harris in the backfield, but they're unable to tackle him. So it could have been a loss of yards, but we weren't able to take him down. Poor tackling, something that gets better as we practice and play more games. So that brings up a 2nd and 4. Pittsburgh still has the ball midfield at the 50. There's a short pass to the left-hand side for 9 yards. We don't rush again. We only bring 4. Barnett's able to get some pressure on Rudolph at the last minute, but Harris is wide open in the flat, so he has a place to dump it off. So that pressure generated Barnett really maybe made him pass the ball more quickly, but didn't it wasn't a sack or a loss of yards, and it was actually enough for a first down. He got 9 yards. There was a penalty on that so the Steelers have the ball 1st and 10 on our 41. There's a penalty on offensive holding, so no play, goes back to the Pittsburgh 49. So we got 1st and 20 on the Pittsburgh 49. Rudolph throws a short pass right to Johnson for 5 yards. Hargrave does a really good job. Bull rushes and goes around his defender, hits Rudolph right as he was throwing. Unfortunately, Johnson was open and the pass was completed. Good pressure by Hargrave. If the coverage was a little bit better and able to cause Rudolph to wait just another second, Hargrave would have been able to hit him and maybe cause a turnover. Almost definitely had a sack. So good pressure by Hargrave. That brings up a 2nd and 15 on our 46. McFarland runs to the right for 4 yards. Brings up a 3rd and 11 on our 42. This time, Rudolph is in the gun, throws a pass. We only rush 4 again. We're not able to get any pressure on Rudolph. He has plenty of time to dump the ball off to Harris, who's hit right as the ball gets there by Anthony Harris. So not real good pressure. They had good protection, but the coverage was good enough that as soon as the ball got there, it was hit down. And that brings up 4th and 11, so they punt. Second set with first stringers. We get 1st and 10 on our 2-yard line. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back. They bring 6. We have our back at the end zone. They're looking for a safety. We do an excellent job of picking it up. Hurts has time, has a clear path to throw. Throws a deep ball for Quez Watkins, who is streaking down the left side of the field. He's not open when he throws the ball. You can see that he has, and now again, with the better view, we'd have more details, but technically Watkins wasn't open when Hurts released the ball. However, Watkins did, after the ball was released, catch up to the defensive back and pass him and just barely missed the ball. So this is something that is exciting to watch in preseason, because as Quez Watkins plays more with the first team in training camp and in practices and even in preseason, him and Hurts are going to get a better comfort for each other. Hurts specifically will know how to time passes to Watkins better. This could have easily been another 98-yard touchdown pass, because had Watkins caught this, just like the screen we'll talk about in a few moments, he would have been gone. So the opportunity was there, and Watkins twice in the game had the opportunity and once executed on a long pass play, which is something we did not have last year, which is really exciting. So that incomplete brings up a 2nd and 10 on our 2. Hurts is in the gun again. He drops back again. Initially good pressure. The offensive line did pretty well, especially the first string offensive line, pretty well protecting Hurts. But of course, the pocket, they break down over time, and it does. Hurts stands in the pocket, throws a perfect pass to Ertz over the middle. This one is for 13 yards, so that brings up a 1st and 10 on our 15. We run a no huddle. Boston Scott runs to the left end for 4 yards. That brings up 2nd and 6 on our 19. Hurts is under center this time, drops back. Pittsburgh brings 6. And are able to get some pressure on Hurts, who rolls to his right, can't find an open man, so he throws it away. Not a bad pass, actually a good decision, because he avoids a sack. I don't want to say buy Hurts because of the one drop, but it was right to him in his hands. So, and frankly, I think we can. I don't know if we can get something for him, but we'll see. All right. So after that incomplete pass, that brings up 3rd and 6 on the 19. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back. Pittsburgh only brings 4, but their linebacker Ingram bull rushes Lane Johnson into Hurts, who feels the pressure, steps up, runs for 4 yards, but it's not quite enough for the first down. I couldn't see the 22. I don't know if there were people open that he missed Hurts on this play. But it wasn't a bad choice. He did get a few yards, just didn't get the first down. And he didn't get sacked. So that's one of the more important things. So that brings up a 4th and 2 on our 23. So we punt. Steelers get the ball 1st and 10 on their own 22. Go Birds. All right. 1st and 10. Pittsburgh has the ball on their own 22. 5 minutes and 42 seconds left in the first quarter. Rudolph has the ball in the shotgun. Throws over the middle to Juju Smith-Schuster for 5 yards. Again, we only bring 4, no pressure. and he dumps it off over the middle. 2nd and 5 on Pittsburgh 27. Offensive holding against Pittsburgh. So that backs them up 10 yards. 2nd and 15 on their 17. Rudolph in the shotgun again. A deep pass to Johnson for 33 yards. We rush 4 again, don't get any pressure, which, as a side note, we didn't rush at all against the Steelers. That's going to be significantly different when the season starts, right? We're obviously going to rush during real games. So that pressure that we even got it with 4 will increase and hopefully cause some errant throws where our corners can get there and cause some turnovers. But that didn't happen. So we rushed 4 on this play, unable to get any pressure. Jaquette's in a trailing position. And then when the ball is in the air, gets even worse position when he's trying to find the ball in the air. So poor coverage, poor job tracking the ball in the air by Jaquette. And that led to a 33-yard completion. So Jaquette, who struggled last year, was off to a poor start this year. The next that results in a 1st and 10 for the Steelers on midfield. They run Claypool to the right, and he loses 2 yards. So right after Jaquette makes a mistake and gives up a 33-yard play, somewhat makes up for it by a solid tackle in the backfield on a reverse. Both Jaquette and Singleton were there to take him down, but Jaquette was the first guy there. So good job recovering the next play. So that brings up a 2nd and 12 on Pittsburgh's 48. Rudolph in the shotgun throws a short pass on the left-hand side for 5 yards to Ebron. We bring 4 again. We don't put any pressure, and Rudolph is able to dump it off to an open Ebron. That brings up 3rd and 7 on our 47. Rudolph in the shotgun again, throws another pass short over the middle, this time to Johnson for 3 yards. Sweat is actually able to get some pressure. Again, 4-man, we don't rush. But Josh Sweat's able to get around his man with a swim move and get to Rudolph, but Rudolph gets rid of the ball real quick and dumps it off before Sweat's able to hit him. So often, and this happened throughout, especially with our first-string defense, oftentimes they would get to the quarterback and get pressure, but they were quick passes, so they weren't able to hit them or cause any real disruptions. So that play on 3rd and 7, that good play by Sweat to cause pressure and to reduce it to a 3-yard pass, brings up 4th and 4. So the Steelers punt. So the Eagles get the ball 1st and 10 on their own 7-yard line with 1:52 left in the first quarter, and that's when Flacco comes in. So Jalen Hurts had 2 series, did, in my opinion, excellent in those 2 series. Well, I could say very good, right? Excellent would have completed the pass to Watkins. That would have been a 98-yard touchdown. That would have been excellent. Did very, very well in his 2 series. Doesn't mean, I'm not saying we're going to the Super Bowl here, but very consistent and similar to what he did, the 4.5 games he played last year. Okay, 1:52 left in the quarter. Joe Flacco comes in, 1st and 10. We have the ball on our own 7. Runs a shotgun. We run Kenny Gainwell up the middle for 5 yards. Kenny Gainwell had not significant amount of production, but when he did have the ball, did well. That brings a 2nd and 5 on our own 12. Flacco's in the shotgun again, throws a short pass to the right for Richard Rodgers for 9 yards. Pittsburgh, by the way, we didn't blitz, but Pittsburgh did often. And this play, they brought 5. Gainwell did a good job. I wouldn't say he blocked. If you watch the play, I wouldn't necessarily say he blocked the receiver, but he did get in the way and provided the extra back they needed to get that 5th guy, giving Flacco plenty of time to find Gainwell. The other thing I would say, too, is if this play, the camera zoomed back enough to show that Rodgers was wide open underneath and Hurts did miss him. Flacco missed him. I'm sorry. It was the pay to Rodgers. I apologize. So he did hit him wide open over underneath for 9 yards. That brought up a 1st and 10 on R21. Flacco's in the gun again. He drops back. Pittsburgh brings 6. Now, what happens here is they bring 6 from Flacco's left side of the formation. Flacco read that coming, called an audible, and changed it to the screen to the left. For those of you that aren't aware, the best thing to do for a rushing or a stunting defense is to throw edit or run edit. And the reason that is because when you rush, you bring more men into the backfield or at the line of scrimmage to attack the play, which means there's less deep. So the perfect response to a rush is to throw a screen to the same side, and that's exactly what they did. He drops back. Pittsburgh brings 6. They get through quickly, which is perfect. We want them to. The farther they get to the quarterback, the farther they have to run to catch the ball carrier. Flacco throws a great pass to Quez Watkins, who follows a few excellent blocks. The receivers did a great job blocking downfield and outruns everybody for a 79-yard touchdown play. One of the more exciting plays that we have seen in a long time was this 79-yard screen pass. And again, could have been the second one, right? Had Hurts been slightly more accurate, could have been the second deep throw or deep reception by Watkins. But that was exciting. Great to see. And again, so we go up 10-0, right? It was a 3-play, 93-yard drive. He does. And you know what, Danny, I was going to bring this up later, but Quez Watkins in preseason week 1 was the fastest receiver, fastest ball carrier in the NFL. Let me get to my notes here. I think he ran, I'm skipping ahead here, 21.56 miles an hour, I think but he was the fastest ball carrier in the NFL this past week. So yeah, Quez Watkins not coming out of nowhere, but really stepping up his game. Not only did he do well in the preseason game, but all I've been hearing about him in training camp is that he's been doing well and impressing as well. So consistently doing well, consistently playing fast. Just pray that extends into the regular season, and frankly, pray that there's competition between him and Reagor, because whoever emerges as the next guy will most likely be next to DeVonta Smith as a starter. All right, so we kick the extra point, go up 10-0. That was a 3-play, 93-yard drive. Took 1 minute and 31 seconds. We kick off. Steelers get the ball 1st and 10 on their own 25 with 21 seconds left in the first quarter. Rudolph throws a short pass at Juju Smith-Schuster for 4 yards off to the right. Brings up that's the end of the first quarter. So we're starting the second quarter. So Shane Dillon wants to know if I think DeVonta will play tomorrow. I think he will play, but I think he'll be limited. He might play maybe a series. I don't think they're going to push him real hard. He was apparently playing in team drills against the Patriots during the joint practices. So I think they're going to try and get him to play. I know that, based on what Nick Sirianni said, he said he wants him to play. It doesn't necessarily he's going to, but I think he will. I think he'll play, I would say, at least a series just to get him out there. The fact that he's recovered so quickly from a knee sprain, and I've had knee sprains and and torn injuries, torn ACLs. If he's back this quick, it probably wasn't that severe. There's different levels of knee sprains, right? So it probably wasn't that severe. All right, let's get to the second quarter. Steelers have the ball, 2nd and 6 on their own 29. They run McFarland off the left for 4 yards. 3rd and 2 off of their own 33. There's a false start on Okafor, which causes them 5 yards. So that brings up 3rd and 7 on their 28. This time Rudolph is in the gun. He drops back. Ty McGill bull rushes his man into Rudolph. Milton Williams pushes his man to the side. They both meet at Rudolph for a sack and a 10-yard loss. Both Ty McGill and Milton Williams did very well rushing the passer and getting in there for that sack. And that was on a 3rd and 7, which is the best time to you talked to Jalen Mills? Very nice. You could still like if you're friends with Jalen Mills, doesn't mean you can't be an Eagles fan, right? And there was actually some good, from what I understand, some good back and forth between Jalen Reagor and Jalen Mills in the joint practices. So we're not really the Patriots and us aren't really necessarily rivals until we get to the Super Bowl, right? We don't play them during a regular season this year, so they can do as well as they want until we get to realistically, they're probably not going to go very far. Well, Mac Jones could do well, but that's another story. Let's get back to the play-by-play. So that sack by McGill and that pressure by Williams, 10-yard loss on 3rd and 7 brings up 4th and 17. Pittsburgh has to punt. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 37. Flacco's in the shotgun, throws a short pass left to Gainwell. Pass caught in the backfield. Gainwell had some good after the catch yards after the catch. He gets a 6-yard. So it ends up being a 6-yard play. Brings up 2nd and 4 on Philadelphia's 43. Flacco's in the shotgun again. Throws a short pass over the middle to Rodgers for 9 yards. This time Herbig. So we have second string guys on the line. Herbig gets beat. He's a 2nd string guy, so it's going to happen. But Flacco's able to throw a quick, accurate pass right before getting hit, and it's a 9-yard completion. Gives us a 1st and 10 on Pittsburgh's 48. Flacco in the shotgun again, throws a short pass over to the middle to Kenny Gainwell, which is incomplete. Good protection, just a bad pass thrown behind Gainwell and uncatchable. So that brings up a 2nd and 10 on Pittsburgh with Pittsburgh on their own 48. I'm sorry, we're on Pittsburgh's 48. Flacco's in the shotgun, throws another short pass, this time to the left to Reagor. Excellent protection, great throw. Reagor was wide open, 13-yard completion. So maybe this is where Reagor starts to to recover from what he's had as what I can see, a rough training camp and a rough game so far. So we get a 1st and 10 on Pittsburgh's 35. Gainwell runs for 6 yards, but there's a offensive holding on Toth, 10-yard penalty, no play. So we got a 1st and 10 on Pittsburgh's 45, so it backs us up. Out of the shotgun, Gainwell runs to the right for 9 yards, brings up 2nd and 11 on Pittsburgh's 36. Flacco's in the shotgun, throws a short pass to the left to Jalen Reagor. It's a screen. He gets 7 yards, follows the blocks well. That brings up a 3rd and 4 on Pittsburgh's 29. Flacco's in the gun. Pittsburgh brings 7 this time. Our offensive line does a great job picking it up. Flacco throws a short, low pass to tight end Jackson, who dives, able to get both hands on it, but isn't able to hold on to it. Good protection by the offensive line. The throw was good enough by Joe Flacco. Should have been caught. The rule that I always played by, and I'm sure that the NFL players do as well, if you can touch the ball, you can catch it. And in this situation, Jackson had both hands on it. But now remember, we're talking about a tight end that formerly used to be a quarterback, so let's cut him some slack, right? So we got a 4th and 4 on Pittsburgh's 29, so we kick a field goal, 47 yards. Jake Elliott had a great game as well. So that was an 8. That brings the score to 13-0 Eagles. An 8-play, 34-yard drive, took 3 minutes and 34 seconds off the clock. Go Birds. All right. We kick off. Pittsburgh gets the ball on their own 24, 1st and 10. They run Samuels to the left for 2 yards. Brings up a 2nd and 8 on their own 26. Haskins passes a short pass to McCoy for 1 yard. Brings up a 3rd and 7 on their own 27. Haskins throws a pass to McCoy again. This time it's incomplete. Teron Jackson did a great job beating his man with a swim move, forcing Haskins to roll off to his left. Haskins went to run. Instead of running, he pulls up, throws a horrible pass to McCoy, who happened to be wide open. But because of a horrible pass, we're bailed out of that one, and brings up a 4th and 7. So the Steelers punt. Eagles get the ball 1st and 10 on their own 26 with 7 minutes and 54 seconds left in the half. Flacco throws a pass to the right, incomplete. Whiteside was to JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who was wide open. It was just a poor pass. 2nd and 10 on our own 26. Flacco throws a pass to Jackson for 9 yards, but that's nullified. Richard Rodgers was in an illegal formation, wasn't lined up right. So that brings us back to a 2nd and 15 on our own 21. Flacco in the shotgun throws to Johnson on the right end for 10 yards. This is the one where hands off. This is the one where he slips in the backfield. He's able to recover, not kneel on the ground, and run for an extra 10 yards. So good play by Kerryon Johnson. Not that it means much because, spoiler alert, we cut him with an injury designation. So 3rd and 5 on Philly's 31, on our own 31. Flacco's in the shotgun. He gets sacked for a 2-yard loss. The offensive line this time does a good job blocking, gives Flacco plenty of time to throw, but he just holds the ball. Now, this would have been a great time for me to see the all 22 because I don't know if anybody was open. Could have been a coverage sack. It could have been that there was nobody open. Could have been that he just missed somebody. Flacco does try and run, but he's Joe Flacco, so he's not real fast. Is able to get a little, so the sack could have been deeper, is able to get a few yards, but still tackled behind the line for a 2-yard loss. So that sack and 2-yard loss brings up 4th and 7. So we punt. Steelers get the ball 1st and 10 on their own 30 with 6 minutes and 4 seconds left in the half. Haskins is in the shotgun, throws a short pass over the middle to Freiermuth for 6 yards. Defensive line, again, no pressure. Again, only rushing 4. 2nd and 4, Pittsburgh has the ball on their own 36. Run McFarland up the middle for 3 yards. Brings up a 3rd and 1 on their own 39. Haskins throws a short pass to the right side to McFarland for 7 yards. Jaquette, again, was trailing. Couldn't keep up with McFarland. McFarland was able to get open. Haskins actually throws an accurate pass. Jaquette's able to trip him up to tackle him, so he doesn't get any yards after the catch, but still left him open enough to get a 7-yard completion on a 3rd and 1. So it brings up 1st and 10. Pittsburgh has the ball on their own 46. Haskins throws a short pass to Bussey for 8 yards. It was actually a screen, and Pittsburgh had good downfield blocking. We were able to overcome their blocks. That brings us 2nd and 2 up at our 46. They're in a shotgun again. They run Samuels up the middle for 12 yards. Brings up a 1st and 10 on our 34. They run Samuels up the middle again for 7 yards. Now, I didn't go into detail about those 2 plays because, frankly, if I don't, especially on running plays, it just means that the offense blocked well. which isn't necessarily that. It doesn't mean we did anything wrong. It just means we didn't do anything right, right? We weren't able to shed any of those blocks and get to the ball carrier before he was able to get 12 and then 7 yards. So, and just to give you a glimpse into what happens as we keep our second and third string guys in there for long lengths of time, that's what ends up happening throughout the game, towards the end of the game. So after those two plays, we have the Steelers have second and third on our 27. Haskins throws a short pass over the right side to White for 3 yards. That brings up a 1st and 10 on our 24. Haskins throws a deep pass, this time to the left-hand side for 18 yards. Again, I couldn't see because I don't have the all 22, but it looks like everybody's playing man except for Josiah Scott, who seems to think that he's in zone or maybe has real tight coverage over top. I'm not sure, because he lets White run right by him, finds a spot where he's wide open, and Haskins actually able to throw a good pass and complete it for 18 yards. So that brings up the 2-minute warning. The Steelers have first and goal on our 6. Haskins throws an incomplete pass to Bussey, but this is the play where Zech McPherson was in coverage. He didn't have horrible coverage, but what he did do is he grabbed the shoulder of Bussey, which looks like it changed his direction, which is pass interference. They're going to call that every time. So pass interference in the end zone brings the ball to the 1. So first and goal from our 1-yard line. They have the ball and they run it in for a touchdown. Not real difficult. So that was a 9-play, 70-yard drive. It took 4 minutes and 13 seconds off the clock and changed the score to 13-7 in favor of the Eagles. They kick off. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 13 with 1 minute and 42 left in the half. Flacco has the ball, throws in the shotgun, throws short right to Jackson for 13 yards. Good protection by the offensive line, accurate pass. And of course, Jackson was wide open. That brings up a 1st and 10 on our 26. 1 minute and 22 seconds left in the half. Flacco is back in the shotgun. Throws a short pass over to Andre Patton for 13 yards. They brought 5. Offensive line, even the second string, did a good job of picking it up. Flacco threw a good, accurate pass to a wide open Andre Patton, who, in my opinion, has a real good shot of making the team solely because he's a big guy. I think he's 6'2", 6'3", which I think he might even be 6'4", which is a good 2-3 inches off top of anybody else. So that pass brings up 1st and 10 on our 39. Flacco's in the gun again, throws a short pass over the middle to Gainwell. He was able to, break a few tackles and get enough for the first down. The pass was actually not too far. I say it was a 3-yard pass. He was able to get another 7 to get a first down. So good running by Gainwell. 1st and 10 on our 49. Flacco throws another pass, this time to Patton. It's incomplete. It was overthrown, uncatchable. Patton was open, so just a poor pass by Flacco. That incomplete brings up a 2nd and 10 on our 49. Flacco throws a deep pass, this time to Jackson on the right-hand side, completes it for 19 yards. Again, good protection, great throw. Jackson makes a really good leaping catch, which, again, as you're probably aware, might not be the best thing because we're going to miss him for a while. That brings up a 1st and 10 on Pittsburgh's 32. Flacco throws an incomplete pass again to Andre Patton. This one was overthrown, uncatchable. 2nd and 10 on Pittsburgh's 32. Flacco throws another incomplete pass, this time to Gainwell. This time it was actually dropped. Again, from the viewpoint that I had, it appeared as though it was a good pass. It appeared though it was over Gainwell's head, and it looked like he had a shot at it. He might even touched it with his hands, but it went through them, and he didn't catch it. I think he could have caught it. Maybe another view would prove me wrong, but in my opinion, Gainwell should have come down with that one, but he didn't. So that brings up a 3rd and 10 on Pittsburgh's 32. This time, Flacco passes another time on the left-hand side to Jackson. Initially, protection was good. Pocket collapse. Flacco throws a mediocre pass to Jackson, gets his hands on it again, but drops it. So again, we're dealing with a former quarterback. So 4th and 10 on Pittsburgh's 32, and we kick a 50-yard field goal. That's good. So that makes the score 16-7. That was a 9-play, 55-yard drive that took 1 minute and 38 seconds. We kick off. The Steelers get the ball on their 25 and they kneel, and that ends the first half. So we end the first half winning 16-7. Go Birds. Just as a reminder, the final score really matters significantly less than, I wouldn't even say the score of the first half. I would say the play of the first string, which in my opinion was better than expected. All right, so third quarter, We kick off. Steelers get the ball 1st and 10 on their 25. Haskins throws a short pass to Edmonds over the right-hand side for 11 yards. It's actually thrown to the right flat, but Jaquette misses the tackle. He caught it after getting 5 yards. Should have been tackled after 5-yard gain, but again, Jaquette misses that tackle, so he gets an extra 6 yards. So 11 yards turns into a first down. 1st and 10, Pittsburgh on their own 36. They run McFarland to the right for 7 yards. 2nd and 3, Pittsburgh on their own 43. They run McFarland to the left for no gain. Good stop by the Eagles. Brings up a 3rd and 3 on their own 43. Haskins throws a short pass to the left for Bussy for 5 yards. This time McPherson was in coverage, and I'm trying to keep an eye on McPherson. He's a rookie. He's the only corner we drafted. And there was good news. There were good things coming out of him in training camp. Coverage seemed decent. I wouldn't say excellent, right? But Haskins actually placed the ball very well. And Bussy caught the ball, both hands, and strong hands too, because it was contested by McPherson. This was the play, and I think this was somewhat in my opinion, controversial, where our corner Smith lowered his head, quote unquote, lowered his head to initiate contact. I don't think, maybe it was the lowering of the head that he got penalized for, because he did not hit Bussy with his head. I thought he hit him with his shoulder. Either way, it was a unsportsmanlike conduct, 15-yard penalty. So that gave them the ball on 1st and 10 on our 37. They run Samuels to the left for 1 yard. This time McPherson, not in coverage. It was a running play, but did a good job shedding his block. He was blocked by a receiver. Good job shedding the block and making the tackle on Samuels for only a yard gain. So that 1 yard gain brings up 2nd and 9 on our 36. Haskins throws a short pass to the left to Bussy for 8 yards. We were in zone, and both Smith and Haskins found an empty spot in the zone and completed that pass. Brings up 3rd and 1 on our 28. They run McFarland up the middle for 7 yards. Again, good blocking by Pittsburgh. We weren't able to overcome it. So that brings up 1st and 10 on our 21. Haskins runs to the left for a 4-yard loss. So this was a broken play. This was not really the Eagles defense tackling him for a loss. It was more so Haskins screwing up the play, going the wrong way, and getting sacked. Good news, though, that guy I mentioned earlier, Jaquan Bailey, who was an undrafted free agent, did a good job shedding his block to get in the backfield and get Haskins on that broken play, not give him a chance to throw the ball or run for a few yards. So that 4-yard loss brought up a 2nd and 14 on our 25. Haskins throws in the shotgun, throws a short pass left to McCoy for 3 yards. McPherson in coverage. That brings up a 3rd and 11 on our 22. Haskins in the shotgun again, throws a deep pass over the middle for Johnson. It's a 22-yard touchdown pass. Teron Jackson beats his man outside, but Haskins can easily step up to avoid that. Throws the pass to a wide open Johnson. It wasn't just Johnson that was wide open. There was another receiver shorter that was wide open in the end zone. Again, I'm not sure. I don't have the all 22, so I don't know what happened on that play. I'm not sure who screwed up, but at least one person did. I would say 2, because the middle of the field was wide open. So that touchdown makes the score 16-14. Still, the Eagles are still winning. That was a 10-play, 75-yard drive. Took 5 minutes and 28 seconds. They kick off. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 46. We're in the shotgun. We run Kerryon Johnson up the middle for 2 yards. Now, this is when Mullins is in. I don't know if he started. I believe he started this series. So 2nd and 8 on our 48. Mullins is in the shotgun, throws a pass to the right for Jackson, which is picked off. Pittsburgh bring 5. Our left tackle, 3rd stringer, 2nd stringer Toth completely ignores the linebacker Jones from the outside. And now the rule is you're supposed to grab the guy who's inside, which is understandable. However, you don't completely ignore a free runner, right? You get the guy on the inside, but you at least throw a hand against the guy that's outside, put him off his path. Doesn't even do that. Gets a clean run at Mullins. It looks like, and this is another one too that I would have rather seen a couple of times through the all 22. I don't know if quarterback turned tight end Jackson rounded his route off and stayed where Mullins thought he was going to continue inside. That's why the ball was inside and went to the corner. Or if he just threw the ball early because Mullins was under pressure by their linebacker Jones because of Toth's missed tackle. Either way, the ball goes right past our tight end Jackson and goes into the hands of their defensive back. Perfect position. So that's the first interception at Mullins through this game. So the Steelers get the ball 1st and 10 at midfield. They run Samuels to the left for a loss of 2 yards. Jaquan Bailey, our undrafted free agent, makes a good move inside, beats his man, slows down the play, doesn't get the tackle, but slows the play down, which allows the rest of our defense to catch up, and they're able to get Samuels behind the line. So great play by Jaquan Bailey, undrafted free agent, to get to slow down the ball carrier and allow our defense to catch up to him. So that brings up a 2nd and 12. Pittsburgh has the ball on their own 48. Haskins from the shotgun throws over the middle to White, and it's incomplete. Actually tipped at the line. Next play, 3rd and 12. Pittsburgh on their own 48. Haskins in the shotgun throws a short pass to the left to Samuels for 17 yards. Our linebacker Smith misses the tackle at the 50. So they're at the 48. It's a 2-yard pass, misses a tackle at the 50, and Samuels is able to run another 15 yards for a 1st and 10 on our 35. So missed tackle allows them to advance and get a 17-yard play out of what would have been 2 yards had Smith made that tackle. So they get a 1st and 10 on our 35. They run McFarland to the left for 11 yards. 1st and 10 on our 24. McFarland to the right. This time he loses 2 yards. Patrick Johnson, again, one of the from Tulane, right? Our what was he, a 6th-round draft pick? Reads the play excellent. Does a great job running through the hole and tackling McFarland for a 3-yard loss. So excellent play by Patrick Johnson. That brings up a 2nd and 13 on our 27. Haskins throws a short pass to Gentry for 7 yards on the left-hand side. We provide no pressure at all, so he has time to sit there and pick his receiver. So that brings up a 3rd and 6 on our 20. Haskins again in the shotgun throws a short pass left to White. This time it's for 6 yards. Again, we haven't rushed at all. We haven't blitzed at all, only bringing 4. Again, no pressure by our defensive line, which by this time in the game, first preseason game, 3rd-string guys, they're exhausted. So partially the reason why they're able to complete these passes pretty easily. And Haskins has, I mean, even a 2nd-string guy like Dwayne Haskins, if you give him enough time, will find somebody open. And that's what's happening. So that completion brings up a 1st and 10. They're on our 14. They run Samuels to the right for 4 yards. Brings up a 2nd and 10 on our 10-yard line. I'm sorry, 2nd and 6 on our 10-yard line. Samuels runs to the left for 4 yards. Brings up a 3rd and 2 on our 6. Samuels runs for 5 yards. That brings up a 1st and goal on our 1. And they run Samuels up the middle for 1 yard, score a touchdown. That makes the score 21-16 in favor of the Steelers. That was an 11-play, 50-yard drive, took 5 minutes and 45 seconds. They kick off. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 30. Nick Mullins is in the shotgun, throws a short pass to Huntley for 4 yards. 2nd and 6 on our 34. Out of the shotgun, they run Huntley to the right end for 2 yards. 3rd and 4 on our 36. Mullins in the shotgun throws an incomplete pass to Huntley. It looks like it was a quick throw. Mullins was under pressure. It looked like it was on target, but Huntley just wasn't able to catch it. Not a big deal again because he's no longer on the. No, actually, he's on. It was Kerryon Johnson we heard of. So Huntley wasn't able to catch. And actually, Huntley did have some really good kickoff returns. So he hopefully will continue that and make the team. So that incomplete pass brought up a 4th and 4 on our 36. We punt. We take a delay of game probably on purpose, push us back to our 31, and we kick a 69-yard punt into the end zone. So Steelers get the ball 1st and 10 on their 20 with 1:38 left in the 3rd quarter. Haskins throws an incomplete pass to the right for Gentry. He rolled to his right. There was no pressure. Threw a catchable ball. Gentry was open. He just drops it. So we get gifted that one. Brings up a 2nd and 10. Pittsburgh on their own 20. They run Samuels up the middle for 11 yards. Brings up a 1st and 10. Pittsburgh on their own 31. Haskins in the shotgun throws another incomplete pass again to McCoy. This time again we don't have any pressure on Haskins. He has all day. Throws over the middle. Josiah Scott's actually able to knock it down. So great play by Josiah Scott to prevent that completion. So that brings up a 2nd and 10. Pittsburgh on their own 31. They run Brooks James to the right for 11 yards. Brings up a 1st and 10. Pittsburgh on their own 42. They run Brooks James again for 3 yards. And that ends the 3rd quarter. Go Birds. Okay. 4th quarter. Steelers still have the ball. 2nd and 7 on their own 45. Haskins in the shotgun throws an incomplete pass to Brooks James. 3rd and 7 on their own 45. Haskins in the shotgun again throws a deep pass to Bussey. This time it's completed for 24 yards. Seymour's in coverage. Allows a huge space between him and his over-the-top help, which I'm assuming he has, who's Countess. Haskins throws a real deep, a decent pass right in that void between Countess and Seymour. So not real great coverage, gave him too much of a cushion in between, and that's a completion. So 1st and 10, they have the ball on our 31. Brooks James runs up the middle for 4 yards, brings up a 2nd and 6 on our 27. Brooks James on the left-hand side for 1 yard. Brings up a 3rd and 5 on our 26. Haskins in the shotgun, throws a pass over the middle for 15 yards. Again, no pressure from our defensive line. Haskins has all day to throw. Raiders wide open, who's covered by Seymour. So Seymour is struggling again to cover. He's wide open, and they complete the pass for 15 yards. Brings up a 1st and 10 on our 11. They run Brooks James up the middle for 5 yards. 2nd and 5 from our 6. Brooks James again up the middle for 2 yards. 3rd and 3 on our 4. Haskins drops back, throws a pass to the right for McCoy. It's actually thrown away, not catchable. I considered it thrown away because it wasn't catchable. So that brings up 4th and 3. So at least on our 4-yard line, we're able to stop them from getting a touchdown. But because they're on their 4, of course, they kick a field goal, 22 yards. It's good. That makes the score 24-16 in favor of the Steelers. That was a 14-play, 76-yard drive. Took 5 minutes and 33 seconds. Okay, we get the ball. 11:05 left in the game. 1st and 10 on our 25. Huntley runs to the left for 7 yards. Brings up 2nd and 3 on our 32. This is the play. So this play, Huntley, who had a pretty good game, runs off to the left-hand side, is able to get around everybody for 30 yards. Turns out the reason he was able to get around everybody is because 2 people were holding our center Wilson, our tight end, who we cut, and the other tight end, Jack Stoll. So we had 2 tight ends in there, and they both held. And you can see that the one tight end, which was on the end of the play, held. And had he not held, I don't know for sure that Huntley would have got around the end. So that brings up 2nd and 13 on our 22. Nick Mullins is sacked for a 9-yard loss. So Harry Kreider, if you remember him, and Awasika are one of our draft picks. They get mixed up because the Steelers run a stunt. So a stunt is not necessarily bringing extra people. It's just not, you assume if there's 4-on-4, each guy gets a man and you go straight towards your single man. Well, a stunt is a change to that. So essentially, Pittsburgh's linemen Davis and Loudermilk crisscross, right? So I forget who was on the right, who was on the left, but they switch sides. It confuses Kreider and Awasika. They end up pushing their men deep. Mullins can't step in the pocket. It collapses. There's a 9-yard sack. So one of the things that we struggled with all year last year, which is probably a reflection of experience, is when people ran stunts. You crisscrossed your defensive linemen, and 9 times out of 10 they were getting to the quarterback. So something that they need to work on. Hopefully the starters are doing a better job at, and hopefully these 2nd string, 3rd string guys who got some experience are getting better at it as well. Working together as a team, communicating when things like that happen, so they switch guys. Anyway, that 9-yard loss and sack brings up 3rd and 22 on our own 13. They run Huntley up the middle for 7 yards. Brings up 4th and 15 on our 20. We punt. Steelers get the ball with 8 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. 1st and 10 on their own 20. Dobbs throws a short pass to the left to Reagor for 1 yard. Good coverage and tackle by Patrick Johnson, recent signing. That brings up a 2nd and 9 on their own 21. They run Guerrero up the middle for 1 yard. Osman does a good job shedding his block to the inside and making a solid tackle. That brings up a 3rd and 8. Pittsburgh on their own 22. Dobbs throws a short right to White. Riley is there, steps in front of the receiver for the interception. So we get our first and only turnover of the game. He's able to run it back to the 29. So we get the ball back. 7 minutes and 4 seconds left in the game. 1st and 10 on Pittsburgh's 29. Go Birds. Mullins is in the shotgun. Throws an incomplete pass over the middle to Huntley. It was actually tipped at the line. Brings up a 2nd and 10 on Pittsburgh's 29. Huntley runs to the right-hand side, loses a yard. So they weren't able to get around the defense. That brings up a 3rd and 11 on Pittsburgh's 30. Nick Mullins throws a deep pass over the middle. So this is the one where Killins was, who unfortunately was cut, but Killins was wide open. But what you have in the NFL is what they call short or small windows, right? So Mullins should know this, right? Should know not to hesitate, right? The biggest there's a saying that I used to live by when I was single, trying to talk to girls, and it was he who hesitates masturbates. Well, that applies not only to football, not only to personal life, right? When you're going to trying to get to attract women, you need confidence. You can't think, you can't hesitate. You got to go right in, right? But it also applies in football. If Mullins does not hesitate, throws the ball as soon as Killins becomes open, and throws the ball on a rope versus lobbing it, complete pass, excellent play, first down, we keep moving. However, and the announcers actually covered this, so you probably remember it. He doesn't just hesitate. He taps the ball. He shudders his feet. He thinks about it before he does it. He doesn't just react, thinks about it. By the time he decides it's a good idea, he throws the ball. It's a short throw, not a strong throw. It's not a real, apparently Mullins doesn't have a very good arm. Short throw, late throw. So it's simple for Pitts, their defensive back, to step in front of it and pick it off. So good protection by the offensive line, a good route by Killins, although it was just a straight up, he was wide open. But it was just a horrible throw by Mullins, which is disappointing because, going into this, I thought Mullins was going to be an excellent third stringer. But this game, he didn't show that. Anyway, Steelers get the ball, 6 minutes and 14 seconds left in the game, 1st and 10 on their own 29. They run Guerrero up the middle for 6 yards, 2nd and 4 on their own 35. Guerrero again, the left side, this time for 5 yards. 1st and 10 on their own 40. Guerrero again, this time on the left for 9 yards. 2nd and 1 on their own 49. Up the middle, Guerrero for 4 yards. Pittsburgh does get penalized, holding. They get penalized 6 yards. So it's 2nd and 7 on their own 43. Dobbs throws a short pass to the right to Brooks James for 1 yard. Bailey again, Jaquan Bailey, defensive end, jukes his man inside, hits Dobbs just as he lets go of the ball. Again, had coverage been slightly better, or if he didn't have that option of Brooks James in the flat, perhaps that's a sack, perhaps that's a sack fumble, right? Doesn't quite get there in time though. Brings up a 3rd and 6, Pittsburgh on their own 44. Dobbs throws a deep pass, this time on the left-hand side to Johnson. We have no pressure, and it's a 16-yard completion in front of Countess, who we just recently signed, third-string guy. 1st and 10 on our 40. Guerrero's up the middle for a loss of 1 yard. Teron Jackson, another draft pick, who had a decent game. Sheds his block, is able to tackle Guerrero in the backfield. Excellent play by Jackson. So good to see some of these rookies performing well in preseason. We call a timeout because there's only 2 minutes and 58 seconds left in the game. 2nd and 11, they have the ball on our 41. Dobbs throws another pass, this time to the right-hand side to White for 7 yards. No pressure, easy pass and throw. That brings up 3rd and 4 on our 34. Dobbs throws another pass, this time to the left-hand side for 5 yards. So 3rd and 4, Josiah Scott's in coverage. It appears again to be man. That's the best estimate I could make based on the play. He's being covered by Josiah Scott, right? So on a 3rd and 4, Josiah Scott gives him, 8 yards of cushion, right? Josiah Scott should be expecting him, especially over the middle, to run out to the sticks, turn around and flash himself for Dobbs to throw him the ball, which is exactly what White did. Josiah Scott gives him an extra 3 yards of cushion. So White just goes up to the yard marker, turns around. Dobbs, their third-string quarterback, throws a easy, quick pass to him right at the yard marker. He turns around and it's a first down. That is a classic example of poor, not poor execution, but poor alignment. Josiah Scott wasn't thinking, right? 3rd and 4, you don't give the guy extra space. You want to stand right near that marker because that's where he's going. Of course he could fake you out and go deep, but let's be honest, odds are it's not going to happen. And you give him a little bit of space, but not enough to complete the pass right at the marker. So disappointing play by Josiah Scott. It leads to a first down. That brings up a 1st and 10 on R29. Guerrero runs to the right for no gain. Teron Jackson, again, excellent play, sheds his block, hits the running back in the backfield. He's not able to bring him down. But again, that extra time that the running back's in the backfield, that hit allows the rest of our defense to converge and tackle him for a no gain. So excellent play by Teron Jackson. He had a couple of those. So we've called another timeout. There's 2 minutes and 7 seconds left in the game. 2nd and 10. Steelers on our 29. They run Brooks James for 10 yards. Brings up a first down. That also includes the 2-minute warning. brings up a first down. They have the ball 1st and 10 on our 19. They run Brooks James up the middle for 9 yards. We call our last timeout with 1:53 left in the game. 2nd and 1 on our 10. They run Brooks James again for 6 yards, this time to the left. Brings up a 1st and goal on our 4, and they kneel. That's the end of the game. Final score, Eagles 16, Pittsburgh Steelers 24. Again, not a great score. Some of the numbers coming out of this game aren't real impressive in some aspects. For example, let me get out of here. Let's see. For example, we did not complete a single third down. We're 0 for 8 on third down. That's disappointing. Jalen Hurts, again, including those two drop passes, which were excellently thrown. It's not like they were hard catches. He was 3 for 7 for 54 yards. Missed the one to Quez Watkins. So let's just say, hypothetically, right? Let's think positively. Let's say that that those two receivers catch the ball. And let's just say, I forget the yardage, so we're not going to add that in. So that's 5 for 7. And let's say that him and Quez Watkins have been practicing more, and their timing's down, and that deep ball that he throws is slightly shorter, right? Quez Watkins is able to get under it and run for a touchdown. That would make him 6 for 7 with one throwaway, right? Who knows how many yards? I think it would have been a 98-yard play. So he'd have over 152 yards if the other two were completed. He'd have 1 touchdown, no interceptions, no sacks. So catch those balls, create a better relationship with Quez Watkins, and he could have had an excellent game. So we're just a hair away from a good play, good explosive offense in the first quarter. Flacco had a decent game, 10 for 17. That's 58.8%. You want your completion percentage to be in the lowish to mid 60s, right? So 62 to 65 is pretty good for completion percentage, unless of course you're Drew Brees, who was consistently at the 70% range, leading the league, right? But I don't know that we should expect that from anybody. So Joe Flacco, 10 out of 17, 58.8%, 178 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. I think 1 sack, quarterback rating of 114.3. Nick Mullins, horrible game, 1 for 5, which is 20%. So he completed 20% of his passes. That one pass completed was for 4 yards. He was sacked once and he had 2 picks. Now, I don't know if they just didn't give him a rating or if that equals a 0 rating, but the rating on the game book was 0. Huntley had a pretty good game. None of the running backs got a significant amount of carries. So Huntley had 4 rushes for 15 yards, 3.8 average. You want that to be closer to 5, right? He did have 1 reception on 3 targets for 4 yards. But he did excel, I thought anyway, did very well returning kickoffs. He had 3 of them for 79 yards, which is a 26.3 average. And he did have a nice 35-yard return, which put us in a good position. So Huntley making himself valuable, specifically in the return game. I thought Kenneth Gainwell had a really good game. I'm pretty bullish. I'm pretty high on Kenneth Gainwell. I think he, I mentioned this before. When I look at running backs, I look for, not just that they see holes, they read their blocks, but that they're smooth in their running. And I think he is. You don't see him, like when you see when I run, my arms are flailing everywhere. That's why my 40 is above 5 seconds, right? And I'm overweight, blah, blah, blah. But this guy, Kenneth Gainwell runs real smooth, real tight. You don't see any arms filling out. He looks like he's going to be pretty good, and he had a good game. 2 rushes, 14 yards, not a significant amount of carries. 2 receptions on 4 targets for 16 yards. So made some, in the short time that he played, made an impact. So I thought that was good. Tyree Jackson did well. Unfortunately, he got injured. We'll talk about that in a minute. So Tyree Jackson, quarterback changed into tight end. Zach Ertz, Jalen Reagor, and Richard Rodgers all had 2 receptions. I think Tyree Jackson had 30-some yards, and then there's all about 20 for everybody else. I mentioned the one thing about us being 0 for 8 on third down, not a good thing. And because the Steelers ran the ball significantly more and had significantly more rushing yards, they also had more than double the time of possession. Again, not a good thing. But remember, with our first series, we did pretty well, right? You got to keep that in mind and in context. The Steelers had the ball 41 minutes and 18 seconds. We had the ball 18 minutes and 42 seconds. So essentially, this was primarily the Steelers. Not a big deal. Just kind of lends to the type of depth we have, right? So maybe it's specific positions like Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett. They're fighting it out, right? We got Andre Dillard and Malata fighting it out, right? So we have some depth. but as a whole team, second and third strings did poorly, right? Okay, so that was the game recap. Brought the Bald Eagle, the most in-depth analysis you'll find anywhere else. So let's get to some news real quick. I don't want to run too much longer because I know everybody's got a life, right? Not necessarily outside of football. Football is life. Okay, so we talked about it quickly, so we'll talk about some Eagles news here. The Eagles practiced jointly with the New England Patriots yesterday and Monday. Some things I heard out of that practice was Hurts, apparently the best quarterback on the field, showed command and confidence under the offense. I think that Nick Sirianni said there were some plays that he wished he would have reacted slightly more quickly, but that's stuff that comes with time. Remember that 90% of consistent play is repetition, right? Doing the same thing over and over again. So you're not thinking, right? You're not doing a Nick Mullins where you think, should I throw the ball? Is he open? And then by the time you make a decision, because who can think that quickly? It's too late. It's all got to be muscle memory. You just look, react, right? So Hurts had good praise, had done well against the Patriots. Apparently was the best quarterback that was playing. Jalen Reagor, he had a rough training camp, dropped passes. When I was at the public practice on the 8th, dropped an easy reverse. I think he dropped another pass. So just struggling. But apparently he's kind of figured something out and turned it on a little bit here. He has been catching passes more consistently. And you probably have all seen the video of, and I got to work on that, figuring out how to create videos and share them. But he had what they call the catch of training camp, Beckham style, leaping one-hand grab. So it sounds like Reagor is starting really to kick in. Maybe it took him some time to feel more comfortable or to hit his stride, but sounds like he is doing just that. And hopefully again it can stay consistent. Quez Watkins, you heard, or I heard, or I shared about training camp preseason, before preseason, that he had consistently been doing well. He was quote unquote a secret because he was doing well in training camp, but nobody really had seen this. Apparently he is now out of the bag, right? He was the fastest ball carrier in preseason week 1. I mentioned a top speed of 21.56 miles per hour. And again, that was something that was happening in training camp before the preseason game. It happened in the preseason game, 2 opportunities for long touchdowns. And apparently it's still been happening in practice against the Patriots. So it wasn't just a knock on wood. This hopefully continues not only through the rest of the preseason, but in regular season. I mentioned that formerly, right, June 11th, essentially everybody had removed all COVID restrictions in stadiums, no mask requirements, all that stuff. It was an amazing time, but that didn't last for very long. All stadiums now are fully open, from what I understand. There's no capacity limits on any NFL stadiums as of today. However, Philadelphia is now requiring masks when you're indoor. Just as a side note, indoor just means like in the elevators, things like that. You don't have to wear them when you're walking around the tunnel and turnstiles and stuff like that. But if you're inside, maybe a pro shop, they're going to ask you to put your mask on. I've mentioned this a couple of times. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we're running pretty long here. But just as a PSA on PSA, right? A public service announcement on Philly Sports Authority, right? For Philly Sports Alliance. Vaccines don't prevent you from getting COVID, just as a side note here. Vaccines build your immune system so that when you get COVID, you have a stronger immune system, so you fight it off. Doesn't mean you can't get it, doesn't mean you can't spread it. Just means that when you do get it, or if you do get it, your immune system's stronger, can fight it off, and you're either asymptomatic or your symptoms are supposedly less than would they have been without the vaccine. So keep that in mind when you hear all these rules and guidelines. A lot of confusion going on everybody, every side of everything doesn't really know what's going on, but that's a hard fact from the CDC. These aren't meant to prevent you from getting it. Just like no vaccines ever, the flu shot, all those things are not meant to provide you from getting it. They originally started by giving you a small piece of the virus. So, right, like not an active or dangerous piece, right? So they give you a little bit of the flu. Your immune system is like, oh shit, here's the flu. We're going to fight it off. It's not a real strong one, so your immune system fights it off, but then your immune system gets stronger, right? Remembers that virus, and next time it comes around, it beats it up, and you don't feel any symptoms. So just keep that in mind when you hear this stuff. The reason I mentioned that, and the reason we're talking about vaccines, something that I was somewhat surprised about, and I'm hopeful this doesn't extend to the NFL, to all stadiums, or even any more stadiums, because, I mean, just logically, if we're racing emotion, which is generally how I live my life, this is going to mean less attendance at games. I think this will restrict attendance, but the Vegas Raiders have decided to require all attendees at Allegiant Stadium to show proof of a COVID-19 vaccine. So you got to show your papers to get into the game. Lots of things we could talk about in reference to that, but remember, no politics on this show, right? But it also could affect attendance, and that's my concern, right? And I'm concerned about attendance because that means money, right? And the lower the attendance, the lower the revenues, the more we have to fuck with the salary cap. And I don't want that salary cap to go down. I want it to keep going up, right? So just something to keep an eye out. If you're going to go to a Raiders game this season, you got to have your COVID vaccination. You got to prove it too. You can't just say it. Now, good news in reference to vaccinations. Again, no matter how you feel about them, as far as the show is concerned, I'm impartial about if you get one or if you don't get one. I'm Sweden or Switzerland when it comes to all that shit. However, you know that the NFL has stricter guidance or guidelines for those that aren't vaccinated versus those that are. So regardless of how you feel about the vaccine, the NFL has made it significantly easier to play and to spend time outside of the facility with friends and other players, to eat lunch with them, I think, than for those that are vaccinated. So there's an advantage, regardless of how you feel about the vaccine and all the other things. There's an advantage in the NFL to be vaccinated. So again, according to Howie Roseman, this is weeks ago, so we're probably even higher. We were over into the 90% mark for the vaccination process. So over 90% of the players had at least one shot. I don't know how many people, I guess if you say at least one shot, sorry about that, Graham, I hit the wrong thing here. I don't know if you say one shot. I mean, I don't know how many other Johnson. I thought Johnson got pulled off. Anyway, 90% of them have at least one shot. Now, CBS is reporting that the Atlanta Falcons are 100% vaccinated, which they are the first team to do that. They also reported that all 32 teams are above 75%. I think the last team to hit that was the Vikings. At one point, they were below 50. And that 15 teams are still 95% or higher in vaccination. So again, regardless of anything other than ease to play in the NFL, this is good news that they're getting vaccinated. We're not going to talk about anything beyond that because it just makes it easier for them to play. And the more teams that have higher percentage of vaccinations, again, regardless of how you feel about the vaccine, means that more players are able to do more things, means that more teams are able to play better and are less concerned. Now, the other thing too, is that if you have an unvaccinated player who gets COVID and you have to forfeit a game because of that, you actually don't get to play the game again. So that's, again, they're making it, again, regardless of how you feel about the vaccine, the NFL is making it real difficult for those that don't get vaccinated. Go Birds. Okay, let's get off the vaccine stuff because I hate talking about it. It has nothing to do with football. Injury update. Rodney McLeod, safety, still on the active PUP list, physically unable to perform. Still recovering from that ACL tear. Last time I read, he was saying he would be ready for week 1. Let's hope he is, or let's hope that one of the guys behind him does well. Center Landon Dickerson, recent draft pick, is on the active non-football injury list, still recovering from his ACL surgery from the injury he sustained in college. That's why it's non-football related. Defensive end Ryan Kerrigan had surgery on his thumb. He's expected to miss 7 to 10 days. He will never miss a game for a thumb, so we don't have to worry about that. Good news about DeVonta Smith. He had an MCL sprain, and again, the level of sprain will determine how quickly he can return. He went from being week to week. It was supposed to be a 2 to 3 week injury. He went from being week to week to being day to day. And against the Patriots, he participated in team drills. Good news. And going back to my concern with drafting DeVonta Smith, not his size because he's going to get injured. I didn't expect him to get injured. And frankly, from what I understand, this was not this was somebody landed on him after a play injury. So kind of a fluke thing. So it doesn't mean he's injury prone necessarily during plays, but someone landed on him awkwardly. But my concern was him getting off the line. I wasn't worried about injury because, there's, I would say, a good solid portion of injuries is luck, right? But I wasn't concerned about injuries. I was concerned about him getting off the line against corners that are, 30 pounds heavier. And that 30 pounds is most likely on muscle, right? So, but again, even in team drills against the Patriots, the one thing that the coaches have said they thought he did very well was get off the ball. So he's essentially compensating for size with speed and maneuver, which is excellent to hear. That makes me feel great, because I feel like DeVonta Smith, if he can get off the line, I don't think he'll have any problem getting open in the NFL. So if he's able to get off the line, I think he could be very successful. Not trying to get too excited here, right? Because that leads to extreme disappointment, but wide receiver core is looking better, making me feel much better. Was my biggest concern going in, but we're starting to approach something respectable, I feel. Kicker Jake Elliott, day-to-day with an ankle injury. Running back Jason Huntley, who I said did really well with kickoff returns against Pittsburgh, day-to-day with a rib injury. Offensive line Isaac Seumalo is week-to-week with a hamstring. Linebacker Davion Taylor, week-to-week with a calf. Wide receiver John Hightower, which has not apparently been having a good camp, is week-to-week with a groin. Left tackle Andre Dillard is week-to-week with a knee sprain, even though Andre Dillard has been injured for a period of time. According to Jeff Stoutland, there still is competition between him and Malata. Dillard has not lost the starting position necessarily, and Malata has not earned it yet. Of course, if this continues, you would think Malata would start, but as of today, last press conference, which I think was a few days ago, still competition. Safety Kayvon Wallace is week-to-week with a groin. I'm hoping he comes back, and I'm hoping he comes back and makes a significant jump this year, his second year, because physically he's very similar to some very successful safeties like I can't think of his name. Linebacker Jacoby Stevens, week-to-week with a hamstring. Defensive end Derek Barnett, day-to-day with a shoulder. Tyree Jackson, the quarterback turned a tight end. Real sad. He was up trying to make attempting to catch a high pass. He jumped in the air, and when he landed on his back, he fractured a bone. It's a non-surgery recovery. He doesn't have to have surgery, but he's out 8 to 10 weeks. So that's unfortunate, because he was apparently he was doing pretty well. He was ascending in that tight end position. So going to be interesting to see. He's out 8 to 10 weeks. Are they going to keep him on the roster, or are they going to? Because I didn't see that they placed him on injured reserve. Because once you do that, he's open to waivers and people could grab him. But he's still on the roster, so I don't know how they're going to handle him. Updates on Carson Wentz, only because it affects our draft position, right? Had surgery, still expected to be the starter. On Monday, Frank Reich said that he should be starting walkthroughs and throwing pretty soon. So that was Monday. I would assume that might be after their preseason game. If they play on Thursday, I don't know their schedule. But so bottom line is Wentz is making advancements towards starting on the first game, which is good because we need him to play 75% of the snaps, which equals 12 games and 3 quarters, assuming that snaps are equal throughout the games, right? That's an assumption. I'm also assuming that they don't make the playoffs, right? Worst case scenario. So he needs 75%. However, if they do make the playoffs, he only needs to play 70 of the snaps. That's roughly 12 games, assuming that snaps are equal. If his injury lasts anything longer than 9 weeks, which is October 10th, week 5 of the regular season, we're in trouble. If he goes 9 weeks and starts week 5, which I still think he's going to be starting week 1. But heaven forbid that, things stall with his rehab and something comes up. If it's pushed to week 5 and he plays the rest of the season, we should be okay. Unfortunately, if he waits till week 5 to play and the Colts aren't doing well, they might pull him just to make sure we don't get that first rounder. If he goes to week 10, odds are he won't make the snap count. And of course, if he goes further than 10 weeks, he probably won't make the mark, either 70 or 75%. Some roster moves. We activated tackle LaRaven Clark for the first time. He was on the physically unable to perform list. He's back. He's ramping up. We waived wide receiver Adrian Killens, the guy that almost, I thought he was a running back, almost had that big pass play that Mullins threw the hesitated interception. And we waived tight end Caleb Wilson. We put both wide receiver Michael Walker and corner Obi Melanfowuwu on injured reserve. They cleared waivers. And so they're now on our injured reserve, and they don't count towards the 53-man roster. So we had to cut down from 90 to 85 players on the team this past Tuesday at 4 p.m. So again, after the first week of preseason, Tuesday, August 17th, 4 p.m., every team had to cut from 90 to 85. For us to get down to 85, we had to waive running back Kerryon Johnson, who was probably the lowest on the total. Well, of course, he was the lowest on the totem pole as far as running backs. Huntley had a really good game returning and running. Gainwell did well. Boston Scott really didn't see any meaningful time, which I think Boston Scott, I still think he's on the bubble. So we waived running back Kerryon Johnson, center Luke Juriga, and tackle Casey Tucker. They were all waived with injury designations. That's how we got down to 85. As a reminder, we converted $8.49 million of Lane Johnson's base salary and over $9 million of Derek Barnett's base salary to signing bonuses. We added 4 avoidable years to Barnett's contract. That way we could take those signing bonuses and average them out over 5 years. That created $14 million in cap space. What the hell are we going to do with that $14 million? That's what I'm saying, right? Because before the season started, we were trying to make moves to grab free agents. And at one point, Howie Roseman said we didn't need to renegotiate Lane Johnson's contract because we didn't need the money. We were under the cap. Everything was good. So why are we now renegotiating Lane Johnson? Who are we trying to get? I pray that if it's Deshaun Watson, it's after. Well, first of all, I actually don't want it to be Deshaun Watson because I don't think. I think we'd have to throw out more than just one first rounder. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. It'd be a lot of money. And I'd rather see Jalen Hurts and all these young receivers grow together. That could create a really strong dynasty for a long time. So the further we get, or the closer we get to regular season, the less I have interest in Deshaun Watson, which would be, a whole change. He's got to learn the offense, blah, 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 get comfortable with the receivers. Could be, maybe over time he'd do well, but could be a step back before it's a step forward. Reminder for some NFL news. There's some rule changes because of COVID last year. They carried them over this year. Unlimited amount of players can return from a team's injured reserve list. And you can bring an injured player back after 3 weeks. Typically, you had to make them wait 8. We also have a 16-man practice squad, more than 14, which is generally the rule. Hopefully, that's permanent. I don't understand why you would limit a practice squad only to 14 or 16 players. Why not give them 22? That way they can, at minimum, have one extra guy for every position. But what's the harm of having a 22-man practice squad or a larger practice? I'm not saying 100, but what's the harm of having a larger practice squad? You pay those guys like $50,000. You pull them up. They get some years of experience. And the more people that have a shot at playing football, the happier I am. Because that means the closer I get. No, it's not going to happen. Okay. We are now at the point that most people tune in for. Well, now everybody's tuning in, right? You guys are all tuning in for my play-by-play analysis. Only guy out there that does that, right? Only guy that sits there and looks at every play. When the NFL game plan isn't fucked up, I am watching them at least 3 times, right? Different views. But we have the old Bald Eagle fact. It's time for the Bald Eagle fact. You learn more on the Bald Eagle podcast about the history of the Eagles than you do anywhere else, right? We went all the way back to the inception of the Philadelphia Eagles in 1933, talking about every year of their existence and how they did, talking about every one of their guys that was inducted into the Hall of Fame, that went to the Pro Bowl, and we're recapping draft picks, right? So, and that's what we're doing. This year, this week, we're talking about the 5th ever NFL draft, right? The NFL draft has not been around forever. In fact, in the early days of the NFL, they tried to get college players to come over and they didn't want to because they weren't paying anything, right? And that was the beginning, the NFL draft when it became official in 1935. I don't know if that's right, 1940, if that's supposed to be 1950. But when the draft became real, that added some legitimacy to the NFL, which was paled in comparison to the college football. College football was around significantly longer. And I guess it was 1940. It was not a typo. So it gave some legitimacy to the NFL. In the beginning of the NFL and the draft, a lot of players would get drafted, but they would never play. And that's the case for a lot of other guys. Also, what we have to run into in this era of the NFL, the 40s, is World War II, right? Some shit we don't have to even think about. I mean, we think about wars now, but nobody has to worry about. Very few people A, get drafted, nobody gets drafted, or B, leave the NFL to go to the services. So when they do it, it's amazing to sacrifice a professional career in football for their country. That's amazing, but much more common back in the day. So this time we're going to talk about the 5th ever NFL draft, 1940. It was held on December 9th, 1939 at Schrader Hotel in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It used to jump around a little bit. Each team had 20 picks. Everybody had 20 picks. So, for example, going into the draft with 11 and being the league high didn't happen. You had 20 because everybody else had 20. Out of all the picks that were selected that year, I think there was upwards of, over 200. I don't know how many total picks there were. Around 200 picks. Only 2 were future Hall of Famers. Excuse me. One of them was Clyde Bulldog Turner. He was a center from Hardin Simmons. He was selected 7th overall by the Chicago Bears. He played center, linebacker, and offensive tackle from 1940 to 1952. He was a 4-time NFL champion, 1940, 1941, 1943, 1946, right? All with the Bears. And these are things you guys don't hear about because it's not considered a Super Bowl. It was pre-AFL NFL merger. He was a 7-time first-team All-Pro. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler. He was nominated to the NFL 1940s All-Decade Team. He was counted as one of the greatest Bears of all time, and he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame class in 1966. We didn't draft him. He was drafted by the Bears, but that was one of the only Hall of Famers drafted that year. The second Hall of Famer that was drafted, we did draft. George McAfee is a quarterback from Duke. We selected him 2nd overall in the 1940 draft. We traded him immediately to the Chicago Bears, who had just drafted a Hall of Famer in Clyde Bulldog Turner. So they draft him naturally. We draft another Hall of Famer quarterback, George McAfee, but then we trade him to the Bears immediately. He plays for the Bears from 1940 to 1950 with a 2-window exception when he was in World War II. He was a 3-time NFL champion, 1940, 41, and 46, along with the Bears. He was on the NFL 1940s All-Decade Team. He was one of the 100 greatest Bears of all time, and he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame class in 1966 with Clyde Bulldog Turner. Must have been a great moment for them. Round 2, 13th overall, we chose a guy named John Schneidel. He played from 1941 to 1947. Again, he was out in 43, 44, and 45, serving in World War II. Over his career, he played for Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago, and San Francisco. Didn't play with the Eagles. I don't think he played one. Yeah, he didn't play 1 year with the Eagles. Round 2, 17th overall, we chose a back, Dick Favor from Oklahoma. We immediately traded him to the Rams, and he never played football. Round 4, 20, and think of that, the 17th overall pick, never playing football. Imagine that ever happening, right? Round 4, 28th overall, we chose guard Eberl Schultz from Oregon State. He played from 1940 to 1947, playing for the Eagles, the Steelers, the Steagles, which eventually we'll talk about when we get to that year, Cleveland, and LA. Round 5, 32nd overall, we chose a back, Frank Emmons from Oregon. He played 1 year for the Eagles in 1941. Then he went to the Air Force in World War II and never came back. Round 6, 43rd overall, tackle Saul Singer from Arkansas. Round 7, 52nd overall, center Hal Mike Pegg from Bucknell. By the way, if I don't say anything about these guys, that means I couldn't find any information about them. Round 8, 63rd overall, and Don Looney from Texas Christian. He played for the Eagles in 1940, played for the Steelers 1941 and 42, served in the Army in World War II, and he was the first receiver in NFL history to have over 100 yards his first 2 games ever. And that was not equaled or beaten until another Eagle, Deshaun Jackson, did it in 2008. Round 9, 72nd overall, we chose back Don Jones from Washington. Round 10, 83rd overall, back Frank Maher from Toledo. He played 1 season with the Rams and Steelers. Round 11, 92nd overall, back Elmer Hackney from Kansas State. In his career, he had 220 rushes for 846 yards, 19 receptions for 135 yards, 12 touchdowns, and he spent his 7-year career with the Eagles, Steelers, and Detroit Lions. So he moved around a little bit. Round 12, 103rd overall, and Deward Horner from Texas Christian. Round 13, 112 overall, back Ted Hennis from Purdue. Round 14, 123rd overall, back Bill Bunsen from Kansas. Round 15, 132 overall, and Don Crumbaker from Kansas State. No information about any of these guys, so odds are they didn't even play a down in the NFL, which again, clearly very common. Round 16, 143rd overall, tackle J.R. Green from Rice. Round 17, 152 overall, back Jim Molnar from Bradley. Round 18, 163rd overall, guard Ernie Schwartzer from Boston College. Round 19, 172 overall, back Bill Schneller from Mississippi. Round 20, 183rd overall, tackle Bill DeBoard from Kansas State. So that was all our draft picks in the 1940 NFL draft. Now, interestingly enough, the best player who ended up being the best player on our team wasn't drafted by us. He was an undrafted free agent. He was a quarterback named Tommy Thompson. He was signed that year, undrafted, by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He ended up getting traded the next year to the Eagles. So he played for the Eagles for 9 years, from 1941 to 1950. I take that back, for 7. 2 of those years he was in World War II in the Army, right? Like all these badasses did, right? Think about this, right? We have people, and I don't want to get too far into this, right? We have people here that say that that words are literally violence, right? In the 40s, these guys, these hard asses, right? They were playing both ways. They were playing center and fucking linebacker, getting the shit beat out of them. And then when the war came around, those guys went to war and shot the hell out of a bunch of Germans or whoever we fought in World War II. I think it was Germany, right? It was both was Germany, right? Hitler was trying to take shit over. They fucking killed people in the army, came back, and then were Iron Men again, played offense and defense. Men were created differently back in those times. Makes you wonder why, but we won't go into that. But they were created differently in the 40s. Played both ways football, hardest sport to do it. Positions that are high impact, linebacker, center, offensive lineman. Went out to the war, killed a bunch of people, saved the world from Hitler, right? Came back, kicked ass at football again. Come on, amazing. So this guy played for, again, from 1940 to 1950 with 2 years missing because he was in the army in World War II. Sucked in the beginning, right? Wasn't real good, the 41 and 42. When he came back, he ended up being the quarterback for 3 consecutive NFL championship games, right? Didn't win them all, right? The Eagles didn't win all 3. He did win 2 of them, though. Won 1948, 1949, right? Our first NFL championships, not counted by most people other than Eagles fans because they're not Super Bowls, but still an NFL champion. He was nominated to the Pro Bowl in 1942. And in 1948 and 1949, he was also the NFL passer rating leader. So he had the best NFL quarterback rating in the league. So that was our 1940 NFL draft. Not real good with our drafts, but excellent with that undrafted guy that we got in his second year. Okay, that's the end of my show. Do me a favor. Take a look at the screen. This is real important. I want you to look at this right here. I am part of Philly Sports Alliance, right? Philly Sports Alliance. You can't see this Instagram, but make sure you listen, right? And write down, take notes. Philly Sports Alliance is your one stop for all sports, right? And all Philly sports, right? And we keep you informed. We do that by having shows almost every day of the week, almost every sport, right? So Mondays, we have the Football Smack Talk show that has Ryan Reese and Eric Ward, 6 p.m. They're going to talk about all football, not just the Eagles. They'll talk about all of it, but they do focus on the Eagles because, of course, we're all Philly related. Mondays at 7:30 after the Football Smack Talk show, tune into the Diamond Club podcast. 7:30 p.m. on Mondays has John Hunter, Chris Lahiff, Danny Hart, all Phillies. Talk about Phillies baseball. I love playing baseball, but I don't know anything about what's happening in Major League Baseball right now. They know all of it. Tuesdays, the Philly Broadcast featuring Ryan Reese and Ryan Finneran at 6:30 p.m. Philly Broadcast is all Philly sports. They talk Eagles, they talk Phillies, Sixers, they talk Flyers. I couldn't remember. I'm not a hockey fan, but they talk about all sports. So tune in Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m. You'll get information about all sports. Of course, everybody here and everybody else, that's aware of the Bald Eagle podcast is glued to your phone, to your TV if you stream, to your headset if you're just listening to the Bald Eagle podcast. Learn as much as you possibly can about the Eagles. Get the most in-depth play-by-play. 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. After my show at 8 o'clock, you got Mixed Sports, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. That features Eric Ward and Jay Landry. They talk about all sports. They talk about all football, not just the Eagles. They talk about all football. Then on Thursdays, we have Tendies on Pattison, 5:30 p.m. featuring Paul Batcho, Jack Griffin, and Chris Lahiff. All Flyers. That's the Tendies, I think, is a goaltender, and Pattison is the street that they're on, right? It took me a while to put that one together because I'm not a big hockey fan, but again, they know everything that they're talking about the Flyers. If you want to tune in, learn everything you need to learn, do that on Thursdays at 5:30. And last but not least, Thursdays at 7, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. Eric Ward and Joe Barry talk about wrestling. So they go into, I haven't listened to wrestling since Hulk Hogan, right? So I'm out of touch, but they know everything that's going on, and it's an exciting podcast to listen to. So listen and watch to all those shows. Look me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, whatever that is, YouTube, almost any kind of social media I'm on. Now you might need, especially on YouTube, you might need to type in the Bald Eagle podcast. Although I have a lot of fans and I'm growing, I'm not quite big enough to just type in Bald Eagle. If you do, you'll probably get actual Bald Eagles, which patriotic and pretty sweet, but not football. The Bald Eagle podcast. Do me a favor, search me up, follow me, follow Philly Sports Alliance on all social media. And that's it, man. An hour and a half. That's long enough for me. Do me a favor. Go out and get a Prima Pills by Victory. Let's have a beer next time and talk football. Go Birds.